Hello, this is our A for user presentation for the CRAFTY crew team. So these are 3 examples of statistics that guided us towards the transportation accessibility here in San Diego. First, 3 out of every 20 people in the world has some form of disability. This is a large and important group of over 1 billion people. However, we also have an aging global population where by 2030, nearly half of those over 60 years of age will be legally classified as disabled. Finally, over 93% of households in San Diego use a car. Why is this important? Well, despite having strong public transportation infrastructure, we still see a heavy car culture in the city, especially among those with disabilities. If we are building towards a city with EVs and alternative transportation, how can we ensure these fast-growing groups have equitable access?
Through our secondary research, we initially discovered that high-end transport like electric cars does not have the necessary low-cost alternatives to be viable for marginalized populations. One of those communities we focused on was those with physical disabilities, who are further hampered by aging infrastructure that is too outdated to comply with handicap regulations, as well as a lack of data related to the disabled. This prevents researchers from starting the development of new solutions for disabled communities. We also discovered language barriers present in these communities that made it difficult to pursue options in public transport, regardless of its effectiveness in advancing overall mobility. We then researched solution ideas pertaining to improving social mobility through mental health boosts and encouraged community bonding. We went into physical solutions such as an electric bike that tempted seniors to stay active regardless of their physique, as well as digital solutions like providing easy access to the bus and trolley in San Diego using a mobile app. This eventually went further into how the overall transportation infrastructure of larger cities can be used to clear up confusion on how to navigate the surrounding area, especially for older individuals that are not used to far-reaching mobility.
For our idea, we wanted to focus on a crowdsourcing app that includes live updates on wait times to improve the accuracy of the bus and trolley times, inform the users of any blocked roads or routes that make it a challenge for people with physical disabilities to get to their destination, having the option to add the identification for individuals who do have a disability, hidden or not, contextual information that is created by other students that post ADA accessible routes for people with disabilities to use, a simplified version of all the navigational artifacts like maps, signs, bus schedules to accommodate those with cognitive disabilities. And we also wanted to connect with the help centers that are provided from the MTS website for easy access.
So this is our primary persona, Jane Doe. She represents the growing population of elderly individuals that are also physically disabled, yet like many that are elderly, continue to work and thus have to commute. Jane works at the DMV and commutes using public transportation and with her wheelchair. Jane needs to be able to get to work in a timely manner, avoiding obstacles like large hills, large crowds, stairs, and temporary obstructions that may cause her to miss transport. As Jane is older, she is less technologically proficient. However, she's very familiar with both the local area and broader area, and is thus less reliant on navigational tools like navigation apps to reach her destination. This is our secondary persona, John Doe. On the surface, they may appear similar outside of age. Both are physically disabled and both use public transport as a means of commuting. However, there are some key differences that we found in our secondary research and interviews that made us decide on this persona. We wanted a persona that covers both some of the general issues that our non-disabled stakeholders face and some key issues faced by those that are young and physically disabled. In this case, John Doe needs access to ADA seating on the trolley, and for others to recognize his hidden disability. They see that he's young, or they don't see his disability, or his disability is not obvious, and therefore they don't give him the accommodations that he needs. John, however, is young and has good experience using technology. He's more likely to be proficient and has an understanding of his local area. Unfortunately, as he is a student, he isn't proficient or has an understanding of the broader area, and thus is more reliant on navigation tools.
So for our storyboards, we did over 7 stories, and overall they involved themes like resolving the issue of mobility aids and locating ramps or elevators around campus. So this storyboard is about Anna, who does not own a car, so she uses public transportation. She uses a crowdsourcing app to find ADA accessible routes to get to the market. She gained confidence by exploring her city, knowing that there were alternative routes to accommodate her needs. The second storyboard focuses on a student named Jason who has a physical disability and who can't find a way to get to the bathroom because he is physically disabled. He uses his phone to find the route that fits his situation. The last box, you see Jason happy because he could be efficient with his time and be knowledgeable for the next time he travels.
So after we conducted our interviews, we summated our data into these 5 bullet points. First off, public transportation is actually not widely used in general. Secondary research suggested that even when in close proximity to public transits, people still prefer their own personal vehicles. Second, the problem of accessibility is much worse inside buildings and spaces like on UCSD's campus, and we will prioritize navigation in close quarters as well as a commute. Third, we gathered from our data that navigational apps such as Apple and Waze are not aware of what routes are pedestrian friendly and do not take into account the geography, the hills of San Diego, for example, into their route. Fourth, we learned that transit is the only option for many wheelchair users, and this may be an avenue for us to scale and explore later on to make more accessible. And lastly, we want to knock down any barriers that exist between accommodations, students, and professors. Some of our stakeholders have shared that some professors do not make an effort to accommodate, which can make it difficult for students with disabilities to get a fair shake. Lastly, our mission statement. We aim to assist disadvantaged people navigate unfamiliar areas with prior knowledge of the terrain, landmarks, and other up-to-date information. All that being said, thank you for listening to our presentation.